Hello and welcome to another 31 art journals. This, I think, of all my art journals, this is the one that I've spent most time in. And it's called, well, I'll tell you how I made it first. It's made from fabric, so the cover is fabric and it's padded, it's got pockets in the back. This material was a scarf that I had, so this material is probably about 25 years old, so would that count as vintage? And then I decorated it with seed beads, buttons, tassels, cowrie shells, and the inside are made from greetings cards. So these were cards that I had initially made, and then the more skill I got, I decided to recycle them and create a journal. I didn't realise it was going to turn into a journal like this. And so I call this my Gratitudes and Celebrations Journal. And I'll link to a post. For about a year and a half, coming up to 2 years, I did weekly gratitudes and celebrations. This is what I'm grateful for today. And out of that, this was like the first page, out of the gratitudes, what I would do was create a journal page. So every day we'd create a journal page, and this is the first one. And every week that I created a page, or was this a daily one? Anyway, every page that I created, I would write down what I was grateful for within the page, and then create a kind of main theme, which was like this particular one, shine some light into your life. And things that I was grateful for at the time: I celebrate my joy for life, picking myself up and striving for those dreams and being true to who I am. I celebrate the time that we have to make a difference every day. And it's important to be grateful. It's important to think about the things you are grateful for, because we spend so much time often being complacent, and I'm saying generalizing, not everybody obviously, but I think we all have those moments where we're not using our time wisely. We're thinking about negative things, or we're not doing the things that we have been called to do, that we're gifted to do, or learning, expanding our mind, growing. And so doing this every week on a set day enabled me to create a practice. And the practice was, as I said, I did a daily practice as well of thinking about the things I was grateful for. But this allowed me to be more specific, and I was also improving in my journaling and my art, because I was doing art here all the time. Everything is possible. Can you believe it? And so, yeah, I created some, for me, I felt I created some really beautiful pages. And I really like them. And it's funny, again, I think I've mentioned this before, that since making the choice to do the 31 journals, taking this time and spending it looking into the journals again that I've created, and these are all, these are all pre-2017. and this is the first time I've looked back in the journal. It's time to make a change. So also the other thing about these pages, they're varied in size, varied in terms of, because they are cards, they're varied in sizes. I put some like smaller pieces of card in them, and it was all about mixed media. It was all about, so that's the bird. Charlie is in the studio again. She's trying to get herself comfortable. Anyway, and so I incorporated collage, fabric, we've got some ribbon here, Fimo clay, and these are tissue papers, all different types of paper. You are brave. So, as well as thinking about what I was grateful for, I was giving myself a message: recharge and renew. I like that page. Let peace reign. Life is what you can make it. So these are little flowers. So I made things, and I also looked at, this was a great way of the things that, you know, you collect. Like you might, if you do collage, you'll understand, or if you use ephemera. So you seem to use some, and you always seem to end up with more. It's just an amazing occurrence. So all these little bits would then go and feed in. So we've got a little pretend journal there. And I just drew imagery, wording. Do not allow the past to keep you back, move forward. And sometimes I would just put a word. So this just says prepare. And this, again, was around a lot of, some of the journals are around the time I was in the midst of looking after Mum and going through. And coming out of it this side, I mean, Mum's 94 now, and it's just like, I never thought I'd get to this point. I never thought I would get to this point. Let's see what she wants. She only usually makes that noise when she's trying to find me. But she's right under the table. Anyway, so looking after Mum and things that I was feeling. So I was still being grateful, but I was also just kind of putting down in visually things that I couldn't express verbally. Time to take action. So for this book I created, how many signatures have I got here? Three signatures. And yeah, some of these, no words, there were no words to express. But the picture said it all. Use your strengths. This one says use your strengths. Loving kindness is what you need. A new beginning. Your spirit shines. Inspire. And then, so you can see, like from the beginning, if you compare the beginning in terms of the amount of writing there is, to where I was just allowing the images to speak for me. And every now and again there'd be something. That's a tag. Time. I think this may have been around the time when my brother became ill. And you know, when you're younger, you have no, well, when I was younger, I speak to myself, I don't want to generalise anyway, it's just like you have no concept of time, and it seems like you have all the time in the world. And you know, it's like if you knew what you know now then, how differently would you use your time? if I had known that at 45 my brother would pass away from multiple myeloma, there are so many different things. There are that I would have done, things that I would have said, time I would have spent differently. And so, you know, it's sitting in those truths and understanding that, and knowing that, well, knowing one, for, you know, whatever you did at the time. I mean, at the time I was in the midst of looking after Mum, and it was just so hard, and emotionally it was to think, I didn't want to believe that he was, you know, he had bone cancer, and it was just like, oh, it's you know, part of me, I think, thought of it like, oh, it's just a cold. I knew it wasn't, obviously, but you wish that it's just going to be something that he's just going to come out of. And some of these imagery represent, you know, how I should have been treating myself with more care and giving myself more time, nurturing myself. Inspire happiness. The other good thing about working on varying sizes is that you can challenge yourself every now and again, so it's really nice to be able to spend time, and that's, I guess, throughout my artist walk. I guess this is kind of the smallest, or maybe, actually no, these I've done kind of slightly smaller, like ATC size, but working in a journal, sometimes you just want just a little bit, and other times, you know, you want to spend a bit longer. The other thing that I grew up with was that I didn't have the patience. Not that anybody told me, but it was just like the thought of creating a painting, not finishing it, and then having to go back was something I just couldn't understand. And it was just like, I don't know what it was. And then I began to learn that walking away and coming back is often a really good technique in itself, that you can see different things that you missed or whatever. And then funnily enough, this is called, what is it? Gift basket, or is it gift basket? But it's a lady in a hot air balloon, but it's almost like she's the gift. And I think we have gifts within us, and we are treasures, and we often miss it. But I was working with the elderly with dementia, living with dementia, and I had to create a series of art workshops, and I did this for about 3 years. But the brief was that at the end of every session you come away with they come away with completed pieces of art. So that was like a challenge. I was like, oh my gosh, we've got 3 hours. And you know that time is not just going to be taken up with, the time is not going to be taken up solely with creating, but, you know, obviously if you had a group of 6 people and 2 of them were in wheelchairs, 1 liked to wander, 1 was challenging in terms of the way that they reacted, and you had to, you know, accompany people to the loo, because I was always on my own actually, but so that condensed the time that you could create, but you had to find ways of making it beneficial, but also that they got what they needed from it. And that was a real challenge at the beginning, but as I began to see it as this is our session to unwind, art is a part of that. And yeah, we will complete a completed piece, even if it had to be as part of a theme. So it might be a theme for the month, and this week you create this part, and that's how I had to do it. I started putting a lot more embellishments and jewellery. This is where I started in terms of, it's a necklace here, and in some of my pieces, and this also then transferred onto fabric. I started creating art on fabric, and then I could stitch in the bead in as opposed to sticking in. I really love this one. It's like this is called Draw Me Nearer, and this expresses the relationship, my relationship with God, and how I feel. There are times that I feel that I am being hugged by God, and it's just such an unusual feeling. And I usually go to bed and wake up with that sense of I have been hugged and held, you know, that kind of, it's very spiritual, very kind of, I don't know, I can't explain it, but yeah, so I continued with the journal. So about a year, this is about a year and a half worth of journaling, and I still created the imagery. I was doing my gratitudes in my journal. I've got a just an A5 or one of the yeah, A5 book like this. It's the what is it? It begins with a C something con something. Can't remember now. Anyway, I love texture. So a lot of these had texture as well. Every page there is some sort of addition of collage material or embellishment or jewellery or words, but there's texture in it, you know, on the layers. Sometimes I put in stuff just for me. Again, these all express how I feel at a particular point in time. A journey. Or I wanted to combine something that I wanted to practice, and so I put that in there as well. So, oops. This was Grace from Red Barn Studios. She did a class for the One Badass workshop, and she used alcohol inks, and I did it in a different journal, which I think you may have seen already, but there were just some pieces left over, and so I just put them in as well. As I said, you know, this was all the little bits and pieces that you have laying around, because when you're using embellishments you often seem to end up with more. It's just such a weird phenomena. Please leave a comment and tell me I'm not on my own with this. And then these are these pages, and I'm glad actually you can see these are pages that are yet to be done. So when I made the journal, obviously these are the pages that I put in, bar this one, say, bar these two, they were just blank, and so or they may have had, right, this has got a cutout. I use a Cricut for peace, but I would have decided that this card is no longer what I want. I didn't complete the card. I think it was a Christmas card I did, but it didn't turn out the way I wanted to, but I didn't want to throw it away. So all I've done is done layers of gesso and some paint, and just done this is just an under painting for what's to come. And I would do that a lot, and that's another great thing that you can do in your journals. So rather than just have you may have created several, and rather than just have the blank pages staring at you saying, yeah, go on, I dare you, just put down some colour. Like I would get my Inktense pencils or art blocks or whatever it is you want to use, and just do some patterns on the paper, and I went over it with water and then gessoed it, just so that I've got something that's interesting, something that, I mean, this has got, you can see the stamp, it's one of the sequin waste, the star one, and so I just added colour. You've got some scribbles there in the background, you've got the sequin waste stars that you can see, and so that's an interesting, that's a useful place to start when you're creating. I went through a phase of wanting to do cards with dresses. This didn't quite work out, the jeans one, and again it's on card that can be utilised. Some more Christmas cards that I had made, and this one just didn't get sent. And so you can even do this with the greetings cards you get for Christmas. You can just use gesso and get rid of the writing, and it adds a layer or a tooth for the paper, depending on what kind of paper or card. And there you have it. So this is my gratitudes and celebrations diary, and when I was or journal, sorry, when I was at when I would take it to my mum's, again I would have space for pens. This was a really lovely journal to make. This is clay, and it says celebrate, and it's just got loads of little things that I've made and then added, like, you know, fabric that I'd painted on and then added. This is my son's old school uniform, and I wanted to experiment with the trousers and see what kind of, whether it took paint very well, and it did. You know, you just add gesso and you could do anything to it. And look at the vibrancy of these colours. It was black trousers, but you've got, you know, greens, yellows, metallic, and then vintage netting, curtain. Again, just, these are all, I mean, these are kind of going on 30, let me think now, the 80s, yeah, nearly 30 years old, these particular fabrics, if not older, because I used to work in a bookshop, and I think it's just sun damage here where it's kind of changed colour, but I used to work in a bookshop, and this was a scarf that I had brought. What else have we got here? More pockets at the back. Oh, and the cowrie shells, again, these are like 20 odd years old. I'm not a hoarder, I'm a collector. But this journal buttons up here. It's a chunky one, and so I wanted to be able to close it when I want, but I love it. I love this kind of look. Just a tassel here. So that's this journal. I hope you've enjoyed going through it with me. Leave a comment, let me know what you think, what has inspired you today, what things out of the journal, and there's so many. This is probably one of the most, in terms of mixed media style, and I think they all are really, but some are kind of less. But this has got a bit of everything, like handmade beads, as you can see. It's got stitching, it's got fabric, it's got beading, it's got collage, different types of, you know, paint, typography as well, everything really. And I really enjoyed, you know, embellishments. It's like a little bird cage here, but it's got a bit of everything. So yeah, let me know what's inspired you, and if there's anything in here you want me to explain further, or you want me to do a separate video, kind of just looking at a particular technique, I am quite happy to do that. Please do leave a comment, subscribe, like if you like it, and yeah, look forward to seeing you tomorrow. So bye bye, take care for now.